Welcome and thank you for listening to the DFRI podcast. Your ongoing support help us to continue promoting great employee relations in the workplace. Visit dfrihr.com/free trial and allow us to answer your questions free for 30 days. Today, a question is the evaluation time a good time to fire an employee? Again, performance reviews or performance evaluation or review time, whichever way we choose to call them, is not the place to have your first discussion about an individual's unsatisfactory performance. So the key here is your first discussion. So the review, whether positive or negative, should never come as a surprise, but it should be a reinforcement of your continuing communications with the employee in accordance with the total performance management process that you have in place. Now, if you've had previous discussions about performance problems, you may, of course, use the review to put the employee on a performance improvement plan, which is completely different. And of course, this PIP, or Performance Improvement Plan, it outlines the performance standards that the employee must meet as a condition for continued employment. And when structuring the performance improvement plan itself, it's good to be very specific. And you want to include measurable improvements that the employee must demonstrate instead of using vague language. For example, I've seen some PIPs where a manager would put, I expect better attendance. Of course, yes, your idea of better attendance may be different from what the employee considered to be better attendance. So instead, it's good to, it would be better to express this as, I expect no unauthorized absences within the next 90 days, for example. So, and you want it to be very defined and a reasonable time frame during which improvement must occur. And generally, a good rule of thumb is 60 to 90 days, but no more than 6 months. So it's good to keep those time frames in mind. A written statement that if the employee does not make the improvements within the designated time, disciplinary action will be taken, and up to and including termination is necessary in this process, because the performance improvement plan, of course, it's exactly that. You want to give them a time frame to improve, and if there is no improvement within that time frame, the employee must know that termination will be the next step. So we want to communicate that clearly. And if a performance evaluation discussion gets out of hand, or the employee is too defensive or argumentative to hear you and respond clearly, I always say do not hesitate to reschedule the meeting and, of course, get advice on how to continue or move forward. So to answer the question here, is this a good time to fire someone during the performance review? No, it is not a good time. You do not want this performance review to be the first time that a poor performance issue comes up. And if anything, if termination is what you are leading towards, and of course, a good step would be to establish the performance improvement plan. And of course, it's your department, it's your organization. There are extreme circumstances when immediate termination is always the ideal step to take, but ideally, in normal circumstances, a performance review, if you have an employee scheduled for a performance review, it's not the time where you say, well, today we're really not doing a review, I am simply firing you. So in such instances, it's best to incorporate the PIP or Performance Improvement Plan along with the review, and set the expectations from there that if you don't see any improvement, then yes, there will be grounds for termination.
Amazon bestsellers, The Development Alternative, and The Line Manager are now available for corporate discount on bulk orders. To get your copies now, call 877-803-3488.